Hello friends, welcome once again. So in the second part of the human respiratory system, as I have told you, we will discuss about the wall of the alveoli or the air sac, how the alveolar air passes through the alveolar wall, through the blood capillary wall to reach the blood. How oxygen diffuses from air sacs to the blood vessels, and how carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood through the wall of the blood vessel and the wall of alveoli to reach the alveolar space. So what are the characteristics of the wall so that it permit the passage of oxygen and carbon dioxide through it? So let's start this video, and we also learn in this video about the structure, the location of the lungs, the internal and external structure of the lungs as well. So now we will discuss about the alveolar wall and the blood capillaries wall and how the gases diffuse through them. So what are the properties of these walls, how they play important role in the diffusion of the gases like the carbon dioxide and oxygen. So these walls form a surface which is known as the respiratory surface. The respiratory surface. So what is the respiratory surface? Respiratory surface is made up of three important parts. It has three important parts. So what are the three important parts? Number one, the first important part is the wall of the alveoli. The wall of the alveoli, which is lined with squamous epithelial cell, squamous epithelial lining of alveolus. Okay, so the squamous epithelial lining of alveolus makes the first part of the respiratory surface. As I have told you, the respiratory surface means through which the respiratory gases travel or diffusion occurs. So this is the first part, the lining of alveolus, squamous epithelial lining. Number two, the second one is endothelial cell lining of the adjacent capillary. So as I have told you, the alveolus is captured by blood capillaries, and as it is captured, the wall of the blood capillary and wall of the alveoli are in close contact to one another. So the endothelial cell lining is the second part. Endothelial cell lining of adjacent blood capillary. So this is the second part. Next we will move for the third part, which is the basement membrane. The third part is the fused basement membrane that lie between the squamous epithelial lining and the endothelial cells. So I can write here fused basement membrane. So the basement membrane of both the lining are fused to form a single layer which lie between alveolar and the lining of the endothelial cells, or the alveolar and endothelial cells. Okay, so the basement membrane is the third part. So through these three lining of the cells, or through these three boundaries, the air diffuses. If the air starts, the oxygen will diffuse. Then the oxygen diffuse through the squamous epithelial lining of alveolus. Then the in between these two layers, the squamous epithelial and the endothelial cell, in between them the basement membrane is there. So first oxygen from the alveolar sac enter to the squamous epithelial lining of its own wall. That means alveolar wall. Then it diffuses through the basement membrane. Then it passes through the endothelial cell lining, which is the lining. This lining is the wall of the blood capillary. So first it passes through the alveolar wall, through the squamous epithelial lining, then the fused basement membrane, then the endothelial cell lining of the blood vessel to reach the blood. Likewise, when the carbon dioxide diffuses, it will first travel through the capillary wall of the blood capillary, that is the endothelial cell lining, then to the fused basement membrane, and finally the lining of alveolus, that is the squamous epithelium, to reach the alveolus. So this is the path through which the oxygen and carbon dioxide, these two important respiratory gases, diffuse, and the oxygen travels to the blood, and from the blood carbon dioxide comes out to the alveolar sac or the air sacs. So this makes the respiratory surface. The respiratory surface is made by these three different layers. At respiratory membrane, the total distance of separation. Distance of separation means if this is the alveolar duct, this is your alveoli, and this is the blood vessel. This is the blood vessel. Then this blood vessel is so much close to the alveoli that the distance between the two, distance between the alveolus and the blood is, these three layers make a distance of 0.1 micrometer only. The distance will be 0.1 micrometer. Okay, so 0.1 micrometer means very small amount of gap is there, which is just negligible. That is why it can easily pass through these three layers. Okay, this is a very little distance, or the separation. The wall separates the blood and the air with a very less distance. So gaseous exchange across the respiratory surface or the respiratory membrane proceeds very rapidly. This exchange of gases from the alveoli to blood, from the blood to the alveoli, occurs very rapidly. Why? Because the distance is very small and both oxygen and carbon dioxide are lipid soluble. So lipid soluble helps in the diffusion. Both of them are lipid soluble. Both means here oxygen, carbon dioxide, the respiratory gases, and lipid soluble helps in the transportation of gases, because lipid is the constituent of these walls, the walls of the endothelial cell as well as the squamous epithelium, the wall of the alveoli as well as the wall of the blood vessel. Okay, so these are the two reasons why the respiratory gases travel, or transportation of gases or diffusion of gases occurs so rapidly. Okay, one is the distance is very small, that is 0.1 micrometer only, and both the gases are lipid soluble. So this is all about the respiratory surface. Now let's move on to the structure of lungs. So friends, let's move on to the most important part of the respiratory system, that is the lungs. So this is all about your respiratory surface, the three parts of the respiratory surface. how the distance is minimized, how the oxygen and carbon dioxide lipid soluble. So in order to travel through the distance of 0.1 micron, it is designed like that. So lungs, the most important part of the respiratory system. Lungs are present in a very safe place in the thoracic cage. So thorax means it is the anterior part of our body. It is present upper to the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the muscle, the respiratory muscle. It also helps in respiration. It has a great role in it. So we know that if this is the structure of the lungs, then below the lungs, this is the structure of the diaphragm. So this is the diaphragm which separates the thorax and abdomen of the body. So thorax is the upper part having both the lungs, and as we know the heart is present at the center. Here the heart is present. Okay. So the lungs is present in a very safe place, as I have told you. Where it is in the thoracic cage. Thoracic cage. So this thoracic cage is a well protected compartment enclosing both lungs. It is well protected and encloses both lungs. Both the lungs are enclosed inside the thoracic cage in a very protective way and dorsally supported by the thoracic vertebrae. It is dorsally supported by the thoracic vertebrae. So the thoracic vertebrae means the vertebral column is divided into various parts, and thoracic vertebrae is the part of the vertebral column which is present behind dorsally or behind the thoracic cavity or thoracic cage. So it is protected or supported from backward by the thoracic vertebrae. Likewise, it is supported laterally by the ribs. Laterally it is supported by the ribs. So ribs are there on the lateral side. It protects the thoracic cavity. In the dorsal side it is the thoracic cage, and below on the ventral side we will discuss first. On the ventral side, on the front side, the chest bone or breast bone, or it is also called as sternum, is there. So the sternum means it is protecting ventrally. Ventrally it is protected by the sternum, which is also called the breastbone. Okay, so sternum protects the thoracic cage ventrally, dorsally by the thoracic vertebrae, and laterally by the ribs. And below it is protected by the muscle which I told you is the diaphragm. So diaphragm protects it below. So it is protected by diaphragm below. Below protected by, I am using another pen, it is diaphragm. Okay, so diaphragm is important because it supports below. Sternum is important, it supports ventrally. The dorsal side there is the thoracic vertebrae, and laterally by the rib bones, and it encloses from all the sides to make it more protected or more safe, because the most important organs are present in this region of the body, that are the lungs and the heart. The heart is the most important organ of our circulatory system. So another important thing is that on the upper side the compact neck is there. That is why the compact neck also protects it up on the upper side of the cage, thoracic cage. So below by diaphragm and above by compact neck. So neck has also important role because it protects the cage or the thoracic cage from above and below by the diaphragm. So this is how the thoracic cage is protected from all around, and the mediastinum is the place where the heart is enclosed. Okay, mediastinum, I am writing mediastinum. So this is the thoracic cage. This is the detail of the thoracic cage. It is protected from all around because the most important organs are present in the thoracic cage. Clear? Okay. Then we will go for the mediastinum. The mediastinum, it is named so because it is present near the sternum. This bone is the sternum, and at the middle of the sternum, the cavity which is surrounded by the lungs. Both the lungs are present little bit away from one another, and the cavity, the space which is formed in between the two lungs is called the mediastinum, where the most important organ of the circulatory system, that is the heart, is located. You can see the detail of heart and its structure, blood circulation in our body in my videos of the circulatory system. So this is about the mediastinum. Okay, clear? Mediastinum, the space where the heart is located, safe within the two lungs in the thoracic cage. Okay, clear? Then pleural sac covers each lung. Another important, pleural sac, it covers each lungs. So the lung has a pleural sac which guards the lung, and it contains pleural fluid because the pleural sac is made up of two linings. There are two membranes, pleural membranes, and in between the two membranes there is the pleural sac. Okay, so the pleural sac contains the pleural fluid. So this fluid provides safety to the lungs in order to avoid any accident, any wear and tear. There is the pleural fluid. It acts as lubricants, and the lubricant prevents wear and tear. It will prevent wear and tear, or any damage, or any damage to the lungs can be avoided with the help of the lubricant which is present between the two layers, the two-layer protecting system of the lungs, which forms a cavity known as the pleural cavity or pleural sac that contains the pleural fluid in order to avoid any type of damage. Okay, so damage can be avoided by the pleural fluid. The lung is enclosed, remember, lung is enclosed by two membranes called pleural membrane or pleurae. It is called the two membrane which are known as pleurae, okay, or pleural membrane. These two layers forms a cavity, pleural cavity or pleural sac, where the pleural fluid is present, which is secreted by this fluid. Remember, this fluid is secreted by the epithelial cells. It is secreted by the epithelial cells. Epithelial cells. Okay, so pleural fluid is there to protect it, to prevent any damage, to prevent any wear and tear in the most important structure, that is the lungs, the most important structure of our respiratory system. Now we will move on for the detailed structure of the lungs, the external as well as the internal. So this is how the lungs is protected in the thoracic cage, how the pleural fluid is present in the pleural cavity in between the two pleural membrane, and it avoids the wear and tear or any damage of our lungs. Okay, so let's move on to the structure. So the structure of the lungs. Structure of lungs is divided into two parts: the external structure or the morphological structure, and the internal or the anatomical structure. So first we will discuss about the external structure. The external structure of our lung. So how the lung looks like, and if we will touch our lung, how it feels. So these are very soft, spongy, because there are many air sacs present inside it, making it very spongy due to the presence of the alveoli. It is compact, and also elastic. So this is the external properties. We can found the lung to be soft, spongy, compact, and elastic. Remember, it is rosy pink in color. The color is how it looks. It looks rosy pink in color, but during childhood particularly it looks rosy pink. But with age, when the animal or the individual become older, it becomes dark up to it looks slate gray. Okay, it looks slate gray gradually. During childhood it looks rosy pink. Okay, so this is about the color. Then the shape. These are conical in shape. You can see also here, these are conical. Shape is conical. Looks like cones, having a base, having the base and apex. So you can see here in the diagram also, conical end is the apex, which is present extend from base of neck up to, actually it extends from the base of neck. Here it is the base of neck. The lung starts from here up to the diaphragm. So this is it starts from the base of neck, extends up to the diaphragm, and it is conical in shape, having a apex and apex. The apex is at the base of the neck, and base which is at the diaphragm. Okay, so the apex is at the base of the neck, and the base is near the diaphragm. So this is conical in shape. The conical end is at the top. That means it forms the apex. Okay, so lower part is the broader one, that is known as the base. The lower one means the part of the lungs towards the diaphragm is broader, so it is known as the base. The surface lying close to rib is costal surface. Okay, let's move on. Let me erase this. the surface that lies towards the reefs is known as the coastal surface. So the part of the surface of the lung facing towards the reef is known as the coastal surface. Towards reefs. Towards reefs is the coastal surface, and inner surface facing towards the mediastinum. Towards the mediastinum, or they face to each other. The part of the lung that face to one another. This place is known as the mediastinum, where the heart is located, and the surface that face towards this is known as the median surface. It is known as the median surface. Okay, median surface and coastal surface. Coastal surface is towards the reefs, median surface is towards the mediastinum. Towards the mediastinum, it is the median surface. Next, we will discuss about the left lung and right lung and their similarities and dissimilarities. Remember the left lung is narrower, slightly narrower and longer than the right one. You can also see in the diagram. The left lung is slightly narrower and longer, narrow as well as long than the right lung. Okay. Another thing you can see, the left lung has two lobes, whereas the right lung is divided into three different lobes: superior lobe, middle lobe and inferior lobe. Whereas in left lung, two parts or two lobes are there, the superior lobe and the inferior lobes. So this is the difference between the two lungs. So the right one is wider. The right one is obviously wider than that of the left and shorter, and it has three lobes. So why this one, the right one, is shorter and wider? The reason is the liver is present just below the right lung. So due to the presence of liver, as we know, it is the largest gland of our body, the liver. So it occupy a very large space in our body, so that the lung on the right side becomes shorter and wider. That is why the heart is present towards the left, slightly towards the left, because the left lung is narrower and longer. So heart is slightly towards left. Remember this. Liver on the right side. Due to the presence of liver, the right lung is shorter and wider. Left lung is narrow and longer, and as the right lung is wider, the heart in the mediastinum is located slightly towards the left from the mid axis. Okay, so let's move on to the internal structure. So this is all about the external structure of our lung. Now we will talk about the internal structure. So the internal structure. In the internal structure, we will discuss about the lobules. So the lobes we have already discussed. The left lung has two lobes. The right one has three lobes, but each lobe is again divided into lobules. Each lobe is divided into smaller lobules. Okay, then lobules receives terminal bronchioles. The terminal bronchioles, after the division of bronchioles into secondary bronchioles, then terminal bronchioles. These terminal bronchioles are are supplied to each lobules. They reaches each lobules with fresh air. Another point, hilus or hilum, which is the part of the lungs at where the two bronchi enters the lung. So the place of the lung where both the bronchi enters the lungs are known as hilum. Entry point of bronchi to lungs. Okay, that is known as the hilus or hilum. And not only this bronchi enters the lungs, but also with that pulmonary vein artery. Along with this, the pulmonary vein and artery also enters the lung, and the nerve supply is also there for the sensation. The vagus nerve enters. The vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve, pulmonary vein and artery, and the bronchi. This bronchi. So bronchi, vagus nerve, pulmonary vein and artery all enters the lungs at a region known as hilum or hilus. Okay, so the terminal bronchi or the terminal bronchioles finally divide again to form the respiratory bronchioles, which again divide to form the alveolar duct and finally reaches the alveoli. So the alveolar duct expands to form atrium. The alveolar duct expands to form atrium. It expands to form atrium, and atrium leads to 2 to 5 alveolar sac. It expands to form, yes, like this. So if this is the alveolar duct, then it divides to form many atrium, 2 to 5 atrium, and these atrium forms the alveoli. These are the atrium which forms the alveoli finally. Okay, so this is the exact structure. The air sacs or the alveoli is only formed after the alveolar duct divide into 2 to 5 different atrium, and each atrium leads to a single alveoli. So this is how the structure of lungs is, and how the lung is externally and internally made up of, and how it functions. So this is all about the structural detail of the respiratory system of human beings. Starting from the previous video, we will start from the external nose or nostril, through the nasal cavity, pharynx, then through the larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, then different parts of the bronchioles like the primary bronchioles, secondary bronchioles, terminal bronchioles, then the respiratory bronchioles, alveolar duct, atrium and alveoli, and this is the way through which the air enters to the lungs and comes out from the lungs. So this is all about the structure of the respiratory system of human being. In the next video tutorial, we will learn about the function of our respiratory system and lungs, how it perform various functions. Thank you very much. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you have doubts, comment below and let me know your doubts that I can clear in the next class. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and stay tuned. Thank you very much.